Okay, so my book review is on the art of critical pedagogy. So the main story throughout the book is really it's chronicling the attempts of Dr. Duncan Andrade and Morel as they attempt to apply critical pedagogy of education to the urban schools and youth they work with over the span of several years. And they do this by providing like the ethnographies or the stories of two different schools. First, in a high school in Oakland is Bay High School. It's in an English class, 12th grade. And then they do this at a second school at South City High School in Southern California. And so at the 12th grade English class, what they were doing is they were trying to make students be critical social theorists by having them do things like research projects, making them making students, when I say them as students, come up with a research project instead of involving their community and trying to get students to like think critically and think about the root cause of the problem and then find solutions to that root cause. So by doing that, they're trying to get students to be empowered as like a lot of the critical pedagogies or as the other education theories have been claiming that they want to happen. And then the other high school, the one in South LA, talked about the College Access Intervention Program. So this is a high school that, according to the authors, wasn't as it wasn't like an urban school, but it was very culturally diverse, and they described two types of students, like the students that were very affluent and the students that were ethnically diverse and economically poor. And so they were so the program in that school focused on this second set of students, the students that were in need, and it followed as they were taking classes as they in college to get them prepared to be critical researchers of equity and access in urban schools. So that's another instance where the authors tried to apply critical pedagogy in an actual context. And then so the intention of the authors, as mentioned before, was trying to show how critical pedagogy looks like, how theory actually looks like in practice. So how does it work in the urban context? How does it differ or coincide with critical pedagogy? So a lot of the authors, besides telling these two stories of these two high schools, a lot of the book was explaining the different theories that exist, how it looks, the purposes of each theory, and all these things. And then they were doing it with the intention of promoting social transformation. So they were trying to recognize conditions of inequality as root causes in schools, and trying to name the reasons why schools weren't exactly stating like they were failing, but why they were working in such a way that society was still very unequal and still very segregated. So they were seeking to implement what they call an additive model that allows teens to stay true to their urban identity whilst receiving a quality education in an urban society. So they didn't want to promote this ideology of like getting a student out of the poverty and out of quote unquote the ghetto. They were just trying to promote a schooling and education where an urban youth learns to be proud of where they're from, their neighborhood, and instead of trying to escape, they're trying to get them to stay there and to find solutions to the problems that afflict their society and the community. And so, how to transform? So this is another question they're trying to tackle. How do you transform society? How do you transform education? So, so they were trying to do this through the classroom. That was ensuring that they were getting equal access to all the resources that all the other students receive, regardless of influence. And then more than anything, to create what they called a counterculture community whilst working with urban youth and urban schools. And this is what I was saying before. They wanted to create classrooms where students were to learn to identify a problem in their community, research the problem, find out why it existed, whether it be inequality, whether it be poverty, injustice. And then they had to create a collective plan as a group with other students and then implement the plan of action. And then, of course, there had to be evaluation. So the target audience for this book, in my opinion, was for all the other educators who were seeking social change, who were seeking reform, not necessarily to fix a broken system, because according to the authors, the schools were designed to fail, but just to promote social justice. So, and there was the audience, in my opinion, was more variety students, the educators working in an urban setting, hopeful educators. You have to have a lot of hope in them to do this kind of work, and also the urban youth, not just for the educators, but the urban youth seeking to collaborate in a quest for social change. So the methodologies they were doing, or how they came up with the research, was really through stories or ethnographies. They call it also the critical research tradition, where the researchers not trying to be objective, but instead they have a clear intention of using research to promote social change. So it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't objective. There was really a political agenda behind it. And then the data was derived by various ethnographic studies over the course of 10 years. So as the author said, that they use observational notes, videotapes, classroom sessions, essays, poems, any body of work is left by students. And then, of course, data from the basketball program that was done in Oakland was also collected from notes, interviews, and student work and achievement. So, theoretical perspective. So, at the end of the novel, what they were trying to do is just promote social change and then explain how it's the critical pedagogy by a lot of others, the educators can be applied, and it has to be with the intention of promoting social change and involving students.